Welcome, one and all, to the Success Curious podcast. It's your man Andy here, and I am delighted to be joined by an individual. I'll be honest, I've got no idea how this human started appearing into my algorithm. Not like literally no idea. But Ariana Djoric is a human being based in Melbourne who has done a myriad of things. One thing that I think strikes me about Ariana is when you look at her on Instagram, and we'll have all the links to her on the show notes and whatnot. When you look at her, she looks like the definition of a modern day influencer, doing branding and product positioning and all this sort of stuff and looking fabulous and all the rest of it. But when you get under the hood of this individual, what you find is a very cultural you're a very cultural stereotype when it comes to people that are from or have DNA from Eastern Europe. Your work ethic is fucking mental. It's absolutely insane. And as I've been getting to know Ariana a bit more, what I've discovered is a person who not only has got an absolute drive to be self-sufficient, self-providing, and really wants to make a bit of a game of life out of this, but she isn't afraid to give shit a go. And so I'm really interested to see how that relates to where she wants to go, where she wants to be. And I think that this will resonate with a heck of a lot of people that are likely to have a listen to this podcast. So, Ariana, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. How are you?
Hello, thank you for having me. I am good. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie.
You a little nervous?
A
Oh,
little nervous. I can talk the back legs off a donkey. As soon as you got a camera in front of me, I'm kinda like, "Oh,
the- well, that's surprising,
how do
right?
I do that?"
That's so surprising given, that, when, you do your homework, you do your profiling of people and you have a look and whatnot, like, you do come across as the almost like the definition of what a modern influencer is, represents, acts, feels, presents themselves, the perception,
Mhm,
of the whole thing, the whole highlight reel of Instagram and whatnot. Um, but for the people that don't know who you are, just give us a bit of an idea as to who Ariana is, where she's from, and what she's up to.
mhm. Okay, so Ariana, I'm 30. I can't believe that I'm fucking 30,
Shut
actually.
up.
Um,
Fucking
I'm from the Western
saying that to someone that's got fucking salt and pepper roots through his beard. So if you
me, I'm
don't
like,
mind,
"Ah."
less of that shit, please.
Yeah, no, like, well, the reason I say that is because like, you just you when you're younger, especially, like, as a young girl, you kinda think, like, 25, 30 is, like, always, like, that older, like, older sister kinda thing, and then all of a sudden you're there, and you
Mm.
are looked at as people's older sister or that older, like, w you know, person, and you're kinda like, "When the fuck did that happen? Like, when did I become that person?" Like, it just goes like that. People always say, like, life goes by in a blink of an eye, and it fucking does. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I was 12 yesterday, or, like, just finishing high school, 18, and all of a sudden I'm here. But, yeah, 30. I am from the western suburbs of Melbourne, which, as I talk, will probably come out. Typical girl from the suburbs, really, that loves her family, loves her animals. I love to work. I know it sounds weird given that my biggest dream is to be a stay-at-home mum, but I love working, I love being busy. Um, and as you know, as we've been talking, like, I kinda have fingers in a few pies.
Mm.
So, always working, always doing something, love going to the gym, love being social. Um, I do love Instagram. I love having that highlight reel. I think you touched on it before quite well. Like, there's 2 parts of me, I feel. There's the part that loves the glitz, the glam, being on Instagram, taking photos, like, having that, looking like a certain thing and, like, being like a certain thing. But then the other part of me is just, the girl that wears a matching tracksuit set at home and is, like, always cooking, cleaning, working, doing something. Like, it's not all glitz and glam, like, I don't wear makeup half the time, like, me going to work or, like, me during the week is plain Jane type thing. Not plain personality, obviously, but, I like
Clearly.
I like it simple.
and then FYI team, one, she is cut from a similar cloth to me in that she's not afraid of a swear word or two. But
Yeah.
also she has, even though, and this is really interesting, right? Because when you think about or when you stereotype and assume the type of person that Ariana represents on Instagram, you are instantly taken to someone who has no personality, who is
Mhm.
very superficial and all the rest of it. But um, this chick, like, is it was actually off one of her stories that I actually thought, shit, this chick's all right. I want to say hello, and I said that in a sense of the ability for you to be self-deprecating and just not that, really no airs or graces through the week. It's a big
Mhm.
it's quite contradictory, which is
Oh, yeah.
something that you don't see as often as you kind of wish you did.
Yeah.
So now you said there that you like the whole perception thing and doing the whole glitz and glam. You're also on a reality TV show at one point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was last
Talk
year.
about that.
Oh my gosh. So I was on season 3 of Love Triangle, which was on Stan. Um, Something that kind of just came to me. Like, it wasn't like I never had the thought like, I want to go on television. I want to be an influencer. I want to be on Instagram. Like, that whole thing was never, coming from the family that I do and like where I come from. That's kind of not a thing.
Mm,
That's not a thing. It's kind of like, what are you doing? It's just kind of something that fell on my lap. And, I didn't really put much thought into it, if I'm going to be completely honest. I was just kind of like, you know what? This is an opportunity, whether it's going to be a good opportunity or not, it is an opportunity. And like you said before, I don't shy away from one of those. I will, yeah, I will give anything a go. So, um, I was just kinda like, "Fuck it, let's do it. Whatever happens, happens." I didn't really think too deeply about it. I didn't have anything tying me back. Um, so I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And, you know, the first time having a camera crew and being mic'd up and shit was weird. It was
mm,
weird, but by day 2 or 3, I was just kinda like, it's
is what
like
it is.
part of the furniture. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't think a mic or a cameraman or anything is gonna stop what's gonna come out of my mouth or what my
Mm,
face says. So,
mm.
yeah. Yeah.
And how did you find the experience, the feedback from the public, social media, all that
Mm,
stuff? How did you find all that? Because for it, I mean, I can't profess to have watched said Love Triangle, but um, you see it, whether it's that or maths or farmer wants a
mhm,
buddy, whatever. You see some good stuff, but you see a chunk of backlash as well, right?
mhm. Yeah.
How much of that did you get, and how did you process that? Because you come across as someone that doesn't take much too seriously with respect to what people think of you.
Yeah. I get that. I it's funny because a few of my friends were like, "This is such a bad idea," because as much as I am like, okay, so the show comes out and we don't see any of it, um, until it actually comes out. We get, like,
Mm,
a little 5-minute clip at the reunion, when we filmed the reunion episode, um, and watching that, I was like, "Okay, I come across as a sweetheart," which I am. I really am, but there was a part of me that was a little bit like, "Oh, okay." I have a mouth for me. I have a bit of a short temper, like, depending on the situation. I'm Serbian, you know what I mean? Like, we have short tempers sometimes, and we can like, I'm very loud and I can come across as aggressive.
I think the right word for it's passionate, isn't it?
We're very passionate, we're very fiery, we're very just like, mm, you can see what we feel, you know what I mean? And a lot of my friends were like, "You there's a very high chance of them painting you as a villain or as a bitch or, someone that comes across as they will take your words and they will chop them up and whatever." And I was like, "You know what? There is a very high chance of that, 100%." But, I was lucky in a sense that they really did focus on Not that there was too much that really happened that could have been perceived as a horrible person. But it is reality TV. They will do that to make a story. But I got a really good edit and they showed a lot of like my softer, caring side, which was quite nice. So I didn't get as much negative feedback from the public as others. And to be honest, I don't think I got much negative feedback at all. Mm, they had so much content and they only had 8 episodes. I mean, what can you really get from that?
Really?
Um, if anything, like, you're not missing out on much, I'm not gonna lie. But the feedback that I got from people, that did follow me and did watch my story and that, I guess they love the reality TV is a lot of people were like they loved how authentic I came across and that I came across as myself. So that was one thing that I was really proud of that I didn't people didn't think that I was putting on a front or an act, which I
Mhm.
wasn't, which is quite nice for people, especially people that don't actually know me to be like, you came across as yourself because I follow you on Instagram and it's like, it's the same thing. So it's funny that you say the thing about my Instagram is like um my feed is very like curated.
Yeah.
It's there. I won't pick a photo that I'm looking ugly or doing whatever or have no makeup. You know what I mean? Like it's a grid.
Me.
On my story, which is how you probably found me, is I don't care about getting on there, no makeup, having a rant, my hair's up here, my hair's oily, I've got my cat on my bench. Like, I don't give a fuck about that stuff. Because at the end of the day, I actually find that a lot of people engage more and they relate more, which is what I loved about Instagram is the fact that you build these connections and you build these engagements with people who are like, oh my God, I can relate to you. You are just like an average person. And I think that's what made me really love Instagram and love TikTok and just getting on there. Like I love to have a yarn. I love to fucking talk, obviously.
Yep.
But eh, so it was a place where I could just jump on and kind of treat it like a diary or, things like that. But you almost build a community on there. So
Mm.
it's really easy to feel alone in this world. Really easy, you know? And I guess something that's not touched on a lot, or I haven't heard, but when you speak to different people from this, you know, online, is it's almost like it's a sense of your own community that people aren't following you for. Usually, I haven't experienced it, but people aren't following you to hate you. People are following you because they relate to you in some way, shape, or form. So you feel kind of connected to these people, even though you don't know them. It is yeah, it's that sense of connection, which is what I really liked, and I feel like the more I am myself, the more of a engagement and connection I do have, which is great. Like, even the other night, I was working at the restaurant and someone was like, Is your name Ariana?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah," thinking that she'd say from the show, but she's like, "Your TikToks pop up all the time. I love you. Like, I feel like I'm, like, besties with you." And I was like, that hearing that is so nice. It's so nice because people don't compliment each other anymore, or
No,
people don't say how they feel or, that they feel connected to people. So hearing that from a stranger who's sitting down having some pasta was fucking lovely. That's why I love it.
amazing, man. Now,
Yeah.
before we dig into that, there's a few questions I've got about that, right?
Sorry, we started here and we ended up over here.
No, 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 no. I've got a few questions around now, which is really, really good. But
Mhm,
I do need to ask you the question we ask all of our guests, and I'm interested to hear your
mhm.
attempt at this. I do feel that success comes in a few different parts, being success, connection, influence, and happiness, and they're all interconnected in an ecosystem where one can't survive without the other.
Yeah.
Ariana Djoric, what is your definition of a successful human?
Oh, honestly, it depends what day you ask me. Like,
Why is that?
um, it's funny because some days, for me personally, and I feel like a lot of people might relate to this. Honestly, I'm not sure, but for me, I'm a person that has her thoughts everywhere. So one day I'll wake up and be like, I'm a failure. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a career. I don't have, like, that kind of stability type of thing. Like, I don't really I don't travel as often as I'd like. I don't all these things, right? All these things that you think you should have ticked off by a certain age. When you're young, especially in our culture, you're taught you got to get married, have kids. But then there's also that element of like my parents' age, it wasn't just like get married, have kids. It was like you got to go to uni and you got to get a career.
Mm,
And I tried, but I didn't do that.
mm,
I didn't build a career I don't even have a degree. Like, I got none of that. So some days I'll sit there and be like, fuck, what have I got? Like, what have I actually got? And I'll feel like an absolute failure. But then other days I'll wake up and I'll be like, you know what? I've been through a bit of shit in my life and I'm still here standing. And that to me, and like, that's enough for me to be a successful human is to go through this world, kind of know who you are and be unapologetically yourself, which I feel like out of everything, is something that I've done. Like, I might be lost in what I'm doing as a career or, not married, don't have the kids, whatever. But I know that every day I try and be the best version of myself. And all I try and do is be a good human to my standards and my morals. And I like to think that I've got, a good moral compass. So some days someone will ask me that and I'll be like, fuck yeah, a successful person is someone who has genuine, like, gratefulness for their life, who knows who they are, who isn't scared to be themselves in a world that is telling you, "You've gotta be this person, you've gotta have this, you've gotta have, a G-Wagon and, the family and the newly renovated house and go to Europe every year." Like, to be able to sit there and be like, "I'm happy with who I am," and be grateful for, like, the life that I do have with who's around me, a good friend and support network, all that stuff, that could be successful too. So it kind of just depends on what day you wake up. And then, yeah,
it's really
it's one of
interesting.
those things, it's up into interpretation and also like on your mood, on how like happy you are, what side of the bed you wake up.
It's a really interesting observation, right? Because everybody else, literally, and we're 80, whatever it is, episodes in,
Hmm.
everybody else has got a really quite clearly defined definition, right?
Hmm.
You are unique. You're unique in a couple of different ways, but we won't go into that. But you are unique in the sense of you're the first person that said it depends what day it is.
Hmm.
Because I mean, we've been saying this for a while, right? That success is purely it's an individual process, right? It's an
Hmm.
individual purpose. And it is totally defined by the individual, right? Success is different to all of us. But
Hmm.
some days success is going and smashing out a whole bunch of work and doing this and doing that, going to the gym and blah 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 and getting a
Yeah.
PT and blah 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 blah. And some days, if we're sad, if we're not happy, if we've had a shit time of it, success is getting out of bed.
Yeah. Having a shower, brushing your teeth, surviving the day.
Yeah, man. Which is
Hmm.
really, really interesting. So we could then argue, therefore, and this is where I'm going to go off on a little fucking tangent now. A success, because you've got me intrigued by this, because
Hmm.
success is an ever evolving thing. However, you could legitimately argue that success is literally a daily redefining thing. It's a thing that just redefines itself from day to day,
Oh,
depending on
100%.
external events, depending on your own energy, your own mood, your own sort of train of thought, all that sort of
I
jazz,
mean,
right?
how many people have a goal and then they reach it and they still don't feel fulfilled?
No, fuck all the time.
How many times? Like, you'll be like, "I will feel successful when I land this job." You land the job and you're like, "Okay, well, fuck. Like, I'm actually lonely. I don't have a relationship. I don't have good friendships because I've focused all my time on this." And then you'll feel like you're unsuccessful in that aspect. Or like you could be completely miserable and have gotten everything you've wanted. You've got the car, you got the house, you got whatever. You could still feel empty inside. Like,
Mm.
it is just one of those things that will forever be changing. You're right.
That's really interesting that success is it's a daily evolving thing. That's really,
Mhm.
really interesting. Really, really interesting. So Now, there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about, and
Mhm.
we've dabbled on them in them with what you were saying at the start there around
Yeah.
influence and things. And first thing I want to challenge you with is because you said before that you are happy in who you are and the people you around you and the stuff you
Mhm.
have, and where you're at to a degree. Um, but you then put that in comparison to what you said before about the fact that you like having that highlight reel, that perception, that you
Mhm.
like having that grid that
Mm.
shows a glitz and a glamour and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
So how do you balance that within yourself? Because there would be some people that, and we talked about this when we chatted the other week,
Mhm.
and you you would get people that would assume that you are a certain way, you are a
Yeah.
certain person, you are of a certain success line,
Mhm.
you have you do product placement and endorsement and things like that. This chick must be doing well, right?
Yeah.
In that sense, but your story shows the level of authenticity and challenges and so on and so forth that you
Mhm.
have said that you probably stick your stories on your TikTok as well and have TikTok as a bit more of a real life window to what's going on in many respects.
So you know what's so funny is like that would be a smart thing to do. But instead I do things separately because my brain's not like do this, do this. Like the thing is a lot of these people have eh, the social media plan, like a plan of this, and they'll share the same thing. It's very rare that you'll see my story on my TikTok. Like, it's almost as if, like, when I have the thought, it just needs to get out. So, it's honestly whatever app I open, to be completely fair. Like, I'll go on Instagram and be like, "You know what? I feel like just having a rant," and then it'll turn into an actual, like, rant. Or, like, I'll have a random car thought and I'll be like, "Oh, just type on TikTok," like, whatever. But it's funny you say that because do you know how many people sit there and look at my Instagram and go, "Oh, I didn't think you, like, worked."
Mm.
And I'm like, "In this economy? Not working? Like, come on now." Like,
But that's the
you know what I
crazy.
mean?
That's the
So
crazy
it's
perception.
funny.
That's the crazy perception that influencers
Mm.
are people that literally just make money off looking pretty on Instagram.
Fuck, I wish. I'd be constantly glued to my fucking phone if that was the case, and I would be done up all the time. But no, it's not like that. And especially, like, the show that I came off, like, I had a few followers beforehand, but nothing crazy. Um, the show got me a little bit, but again, it didn't grow that much. I wouldn't even call myself, like, an actual influencer, realistically, and again, it comes from that perception, yeah? You see people that come off maths and they've got a couple of 100,000 or whatever. I'm nowhere near that. And it's not even a goal that I wanted to. Like, yeah, sure, when I was filming the TV show, I was like, "You know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna lean," like, I've got this thing of, like, I'll lean into whatever I'm doing.
Mm.
I'll try and milk it as much as possible, right? So, I will throw myself in there. And, yeah, it's gotten me some really good things and, it's opened up a few doors and, things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm just a normal human who has a mortgage, who works, who loves working, who is bored. So if I'm working one job, like I've got, my Monday to Friday, and then I'll work at the restaurant. Like I work at a restaurant for God's sakes. Like I'm not
Mm.
one to shy away from getting my hands dirty. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of people won't think that looking at my Instagram. And then of course I do, the event pet caring as well. So I'm taking people's dogs to weddings. So wedding season's fucking so full for me. And a lot of people are very surprised to see that I work and I love working. But also, I think not a problem, but something that's changed a lot in society is like people don't have a very strong work ethic anymore. People don't want to work.
Which is interesting again, coming from someone that is 30 and is doing the Instagram thing.
Mhm.
and enjoying the Instagram thing,
Yeah.
um, two things I want to ask, right?
Mhm.
Um, Based off what you just said then, right, where you said you don't see yourself as an influencer as such, you
Mm.
do things, right? You're like the Joker,
Yeah.
Batman, right? You just do things, right? Um, what's your definition of influence right now when you think about people that are in their sort of 20s, 30s, of that sort of generation where where a lot of the stuff that they do and think and be revolves around social media.
Mm.
What do you think the definition is?
To be honest, I'm not sure what the definition is. What I think is happening is a lot of young people are seeing what's on Instagram, and comparison's a thief.
Mm,
They're comparing, and especially the really young people of today, they're comparing things that they do and that they have, and you know, their lives to people who are 10, 15, even 20 years older than them.
mm,
So, I guess, eh, it's kinda like a monkey see, monkey do type thing, right? They're
yeah.
seeing this and being like, "I need to have this. I need to," and it kinda goes back to the whole success thing too, is a lot of people sit there and they go, "I'm not gonna be successful until I have what these people have online."
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So, eh, the definition of influence, I guess, seeing people and thinking that you need to, I think the word is needs. People think that they need to have what other people have on you,
Yeah, true.
you know?
Were you influenced into doing the stuff that you do by the stuff that you saw?
Um, Not really, to be honest. And this is where what I mean by like it's when you said like it's weird for me to say what I've said given what I do. I don't see myself as an influencer. Not that I don't think I influence people. Not that I don't think that I have an effect on, you know, eh, that, because I kind of had that community before. When you have someone that's authentically themselves online and, will talk about products or things that you've done purely because they work for you and you find them good for you, that is an influence, right? But what I like, to be like, I still do the same thing on my Instagram. You'll never see me promoting something. Like, for example, I got approached to promote this gambling game thing online. I'm not gonna fucking promote that. I barely like walking into Crown. I don't care how much money you pay me. I'm not going to sit there and promote gambling when it's not something that I do or believe in. You know what I mean? No offense to anyone that does it. I don't care. You do whatever you want. I'm not here to shit on anyone. But I still stick to that whole, you won't see me online promoting something for money if it doesn't align with myself. I'm not going to sit there and, again, I never thought I'd make a job out of Instagram. Even when I was in the crux of the whole, like, the show being aired and whatever, I was like, "Yeah, it'd be nice." It's nice to, you know, it's a bit of validation, it's a bit of, like, attention, whatever, it's all that. Did I ever once sit there and be like, "This is gonna be my full-time thing?" Nah. It'd be nice to sit there and just make content all day and whatever, but you have to be realistic. And yes, some people might get there and make a whole career out of it. But more often than not, you'd be surprised at how many of these influencers have at least a part-time job to back themselves up.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
The
it's one of
thing
those
that
things that I don't take too seriously because it's like it's not like I'm relying on it.
yeah,
It's nice, but
the thing that is sort of that's screaming out to me here is that um you have grown a level of attention despite not really giving a shit that you are getting attention, right?
yeah.
And it can't. That's probably why when I'm thinking about it, right? It's probably why I was like, "Oh, this chick might be worth a yarn with," because
Mm,
one thing that I think is becoming a lot more prevalent in society is the scrutiny with which we take information in, right?
Mhm,
Because of Gen AI producing all sorts of, you know, AI bloody OnlyFans models and all sorts of shit right now. Um, a lot of people are becoming a lot more skeptical as to what's real and what's not.
mhm,
And I think because we've been banging on about authenticity, which for me is it's a real wanky sort of word now. It's been overused. But but people don't you can't claim to be authentic. You just do authentic, right?
mhm,
And I think the reason why you're of that sort of mindset of, right, I'm not going to do the gambling. No, it doesn't align with me. But you're not doing this. You're not doing that really with any real intention other than I think if I fucking hate gambling. All right.
yeah,
I'm not doing it. And which
yeah,
is very interesting, right? Because I think that people like you um have got an incredible opportunity in society. And this is where but this is why one of the reasons why I wanted you on, because I think that you could be an amazing example to those people that are out there that are in whatever industry. I mean, the real estate space is a prick for it, right?
mm,
Where the perception and the reality are two very fucking different things,
mm,
for a lot of people. And then you come across humans like you that you could fucking fake it, right? You could do all
yeah,
that, right? You really could. Um, but you are choosing unconsciously not to, which I think
mhm.
is such a refreshing example to set. It's probably why people stop you in the middle of the restaurant and say hello, right?
Yeah,
Which is really interesting. And I like the fact that you haven't really got much of a definition around influence because of the fact that the real influences in life don't go out to be influencers.
yeah,
They go out to be who they are, and then because of that, they become influencers because of who they are. And then you got the superficial, paper thin type influencers that do it because they want to be influencers. They're pretty, and therefore they think they can utilize that pretty, but there's no substance behind it.
that's the word, substance is that's so many people will sit there and look at the grid and be like, "I didn't think you'd have," like, I run around like Johnny from the Wild Thornberrys half the time.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just
Mm.
and but you look at my Instagram and you're like, "What?" It's funny because, like, not to shit on anyone or anything, but that genuinely is who people come across, and, like, you know, it male or female, this isn't just to females, like,
Yeah.
you got males on there as well who, I mean, I think for anyone, you can be as hot as you want, right? Yeah, it's great to be attractive and whatever. But if you've got no substance, you've got no personality, like,
How far
you're
it
not
go?
you're gonna yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? You can only look pretty for so long. And then what?
That's a really good little thing. You can only look pretty for so long.
It's true, but like, also, like, what, you're gonna be on all the time? Like, I've not met someone who's 100% done up, like, who can keep up that appearance 100% of the time. Like, it's gonna fall. Plus, you've got all the filters and the this and the that.
Mm.
Like, what are people gonna say when they meet you in real life?
And this is the interesting thing. So, for those people that are relying on the superficial to get by,
Mm,
um, where do you see them ending up being, right? Because you're absolutely right. You know, you can only be pretty for so long. It's a good point. Where do you think that sort of train of thought leads them to? Because one of the whole purposes of me writing the book, doing the podcast, make success more accessible. But one of the barriers to success is this haves and have nots, right? I'm pretty, therefore, right? I'm not pretty, therefore I can't, right?
yeah.
So where do you think uh pretty stops? Like you can't say, well, I'm not just talking about age, but where do you
Mm.
think it limits people? Where do you think it pushes them down to?
It's funny because, again, it's so many things rely on perception. so many things.
What do you
So
mean?
someone's perception of pretty or attractive depends on who you're talking to.
It is.
So for me, for example, you can be the prettiest or the hot, like whatever it is. But if you don't have, and this is going to sound so cliche, but it's honestly what I believe. If you don't have a pretty heart, if you don't come across as a good person, if you're a shit cunt, basically,
Mm,
I don't think you're pretty. It kills all that. It
interesting.
kills it all. So then again, there's that other element of like what people will find attractive, whatever. But if you know someone's a shit cunt, you're gonna sit there and be like, well, no. And
Yeah.
that will stop. It's I think we've kind of come to a point as well. It's because of all the filters and the face apps and the photo, like all of that, and the AI models and all of that stuff. We've kind of hit a point where the pendulum's got to swing back the other way a little bit, right? Where people are actually looking for people who are real and people who are pleasant to be around. It's and I kind of hope that the industry goes a bit more that way, where if you're not a pleasant person to be around, people kind of don't want you. If you're not a vibe, people don't want you to be there.
But we see it all the time, right? Where, celebrities or whoever, right?
Mm,
Where they are assholes and
mm,
yet they still raking it in, right?
yeah.
I mean, you go down the whole abuse of the topic around masculinity, right?
Mhm,
Where you've got your Andrew Tates and those sorts of people that will flash the cash, flash the Lambo or the Bugatti or whoever it is, whatever it
mhm,
is, um, garner vast amount of attention off the back of that. We know that like I say, we know, not that we know them personally, but there is evidence to strongly suggest that they are assholes, and
mhm,
yet they still end up feeling like so. Again, come back to real estate, for example, there
mhm,
are though, I saw this quote. I saw this quote on an Instagram post. I think it was only a couple of days ago, and it said that every successful person will always have this sense of delusion. Like in their minds, it's not delusion; it's confidence that whatever it is that they do,
mhm,
it's gonna work, right? But to the outside, it's seen as delusion, right?
mhm,
They have delusions of grandeur, and that's something that is commonplace around a lot of the industry. And yet, there's a lot of good people, right? Good humans, and I'm saying that as in inverted commas,
mhm,
that end up not being the textbook definitions of success as it pertains to where their life ultimately ends up, whether it's financial, whether it's assets, whatever the case may be, right? So you're absolutely right though. You got to have it's good to have a good heart and whatnot. However, society seems to be rewarding pricks.
but then it goes with your question as well, is like, what do you find as successful? Some people might sit there and be like, well, who cares if you're popular or whatever, as long as you know you're being a good person, that's a successful life,
Mm.
you know?
But
It depends who you ask.
so where do you think, right, the barriers
Mm.
to entry are? Because you're of a person that doesn't really give a shit, so therefore you're just going to put stuff that pops into your head. You're not going to really have any filter around it, all right?
Yeah,
For better or for worse. But it's you, right?
yeah.
There's no need to apologize because it's you.
Mm,
Um, where do you feel? Because I'm sure you will have come across people that could be of tremendous influence, but just real shit, put themselves in a shell, right?
yeah.
Um, where do you think the barriers to entry are for those people? Because I've always thought, right, COVID was an amazing example where
Mhm.
when we were all in lockdown, all the arseholes went really, really quiet because they had nothing to brag about.
Yeah.
And the good humanity started rising to the surface and started becoming prominent in society,
Mhm,
right? Because the egos didn't have anything to really talk about or brag about.
mhm.
So, but then it's sort of drifted back again. So, where do you think these good people, these good humans, are holding themselves back, and how do you think that they can overcome it?
Um, I think the guess the barrier for anything, really. The only thing stopping you from doing something that you want to do or something that you think would be good is the belief in yourself.
So how
It
do you
is that confidence.
is
It's
your level of self-belief, is that something that is a nature thing, or have you had to work really hard on that?
I think I mean, I believe it or fucking not. I grew up really shy, not talking at all. I don't think I spoke much with an outside voice until I was like 12 or 13 years old. You
Really?
know, I was a typical quiet kid. Um, and I think it's just life experience, to be honest with you. Like, the more shit that happened, the louder I got and the more comfortable with myself I got. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm always going to have those times. And like, there have been those times where I'm like, man, I fucked up. Like, I've made a big mistake. Like, I haven't just charged through life being like, oh, well, that's me, like, whatever. I think it's learning from anything that gets thrown your way, sitting there and being like, you know what? Every situation you look at and be like, okay, how can I be better? What am I going to do differently if this comes to my door again? You know, and it's just with like life experience, and it's just with, you know, I can't even say it's like having a good support network around you or whatever, because like, look, my I don't have the same friends that I did in high school to now. Well, none of them. You know, I think I've always had my mum, you know, my sister, and you know, grandparents who are freaking amazing, who no matter what, like I was very lucky with my mum's side. Like they were always just like so positive and so reinforcing, and just like you always said, like you know what's right from wrong, always trust your gut. Yeah. So I think with that, growing up in a way where I started off really timid, really shy, like I was a doormat, to and it happened slowly. Like I said, like all of a sudden I'm 30 now, right? So it's taken all this time to build this confidence and to build this self-belief of, you know what? Like I'm not gonna have belief in myself all the time. I don't. There are some days where I'm like, fuck man, you are like, what are you doing? What are you actually fucking doing? Like you're an idiot, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. Depends what time of the month, honestly. But like I'll have those days where it's like, what, like you're fucked. Essentially, you are fucked. But when I really think about it and I sit myself down and I go, listen, I gotta have a breath and I just gotta think about it. Like, no, you know what? I will always act true, like in my gut and in my heart, I will always act in a way that I am proud of. That at the time, that was what I thought was the best option.
Mm.
And I, like, the more experience you have, the more you learn to back yourself.
How though? Because then I'm gonna push you on this one.
It's
I'm gonna push
okay.
you on this one because, um, you could argue that there's a lot of people that go through the whole once bitten, twice shy thing, right? I know
Mhm.
that there are people that I know, and I copped it at one stage as well when I first had a crack at, gaining a bit more notoriety
Mhm.
in my chosen field. Um, it very quickly turned into a bit of a problem because, I had a lot of people saying, "Who the fuck's this guy? What the fuck does
Yeah.
he know?" Da 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 da. And I was a little bit once bitten, twice shy. It took me a little while to get my head back in the game.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would see, because it takes a bit of bravery to put yourself out there, right?
Mhm.
And you would have been nervous when you put yourself up for that show. I know you said you didn't think, but surely
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about, you said it right at the start of this. You were nervous at the
Yeah.
start of this episode, right? And
Yeah.
yet you come across, and yet you come across as someone that, you go, fuck it, I'll give it a crack, like you've said before, which is really, really good.
Mm.
But for a lot of people, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So have you had a moment where you've done something or you put something out there and you've gone, like you said, you've gone like, fuck, this is not cool. And how did you get over that?
Oh, I'm trying to think because I feel like there's so many times in life where I've sat there and I've been like, that was the wrong choice. Doesn't necessarily have to be something I've posted online or whatever, but you know, you're not always going to get it right.
Mm, okay. So
But just because you don't get it
how do
right
you process it when you get it wrong?
depends what the situation is, but you just gotta sit there, you gotta reflect. Reflection's hard. Reflecting on your own, especially your own behavior, but your own feelings. Because I think where I stopped myself was I didn't listen to my gut. But every time I made a decision that like for me was wrong, I had that sick feeling. I would have, I wouldn't feel well. Your body's always going to tell you probably before your mind does or before anyone
Mm,
tells you. You know what I mean? Or listen to your body. And that's the one thing that I've really learned growing up. And my baba, my grandma always said that. Listen to your gut. And, you sit there and you're like, "Fuck, all right, another person telling me always listen to your gut, blah, blah, blah."
mm,
You have to. And when you get it wrong, you will feel it. It sounds so cliche, but you will fucking feel it. You will get sick. You will have a feeling or a headache or something. Your body will do something to you when you have done something wrong or you've gone against what your heart and soul want you to.
mm, mm.
It'll always happen.
You mentioned
So it's yes, go
you
on.
mentioned before, and I'm conscious that I've taken up so much of your time. Um, I you mentioned before we jumped on that,
Mhm,
without going into any detail, you mentioned that you were going through something of a transitionary phase right now in your life.
mhm.
And there are a number of people that at various ages and stages, because of the pace at which life is evolving and changing and shifting and all this sort of stuff, the way that the world's going, I'd argue that there's a lot of people that are going through this type of phase right now.
Yeah.
And whether it's career, whether it's relationships, whether it's life direction generally, or whatever the case may be. Um, how are you finding this phase of your life? And you don't have to go into too much detail,
Mhm,
or any detail. How are you finding this phase of your life? And you mentioned, your Bob has told you to trust your gut.
mhm.
How challenging has it been to stay true to your gut?
I mean, look, everything you listed, like, is literally what's going on right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, the typical thing of when it rains, it pours, right? And I think we have so many external factors that will always, there's that word, influence what you do and how you act and whatnot. So I think it's one of those things like you've always got like your head and your heart type thing. Yeah.
Mm,
Um, Going through these periods, like, it's just really important to know, like, y it's easy to feel lonely. It's so easy to feel lonely when you're doing this because you're like, "I thought I'd be somewhere else." You see, your friends or your family or people online, like, reaching all these milestones, ticking off all these boxes, and you're like, "Fuck, man, like, I'm not there."
mm,
And you're like, oh, it's easy to sit there and be like, "I'm so alone in what I'm going through and what I'm doing." But so many people go through this. So many people hit, it doesn't matter what age they are. They go like they will hit a point where they're like, fuck, okay, I'm lost. My direction is everywhere. So I think it's really important to know that you are not alone and not saying that like it's invalidating how you feel, like, oh, everyone goes through it. It's more coming from the point of like, it's easy to feel alone. You're not. This happens so often. It's so much more common, especially now with comparison to, the online world. You're not alone, but also you don't have to rush. It's so cliche, but the thing that kind of gets me through, I had that panic. I turned 30 and I was like, fuck man, like I'm behind. I don't have this, I don't have that. And then, it's again, social media is such a blessing and a curse. TikTok, out of all things, really does help you when you get on the right rabbit hole, 'cause it's easy to fall down the wrong rabbit hole, yeah. When you go down the right one that is more, kind of changes the way you think, right? And the things that you consume change the way you think. So you can look at it and be like, I'm a failure. I'm not going in this direction. I'm not doing this, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually sit with yourself and breathe and realize that there's no timeline, all this cliche shit that people say is actually true and it will get you through. There is no timeline. You can take it slow. You're better off taking it slow and thinking about what you're doing than rushing or doing something and putting yourself in a situation where you think it's right because you need to tick up this box, you need to do this thing, and it ends up being the wrong thing. There was a TikTok that I saw, and it was the longer you stay on the wrong train, the more expensive it is to get home,
I like that.
right? And when I saw that, it really stuck with me. There's two things that have stuck with me that I've read. One was that, and the other one was when someone does something or there's something that doesn't align with you and you can't make sense of it, right? Someone does something to you, they hurt you, they acted in such a way, and you can't make sense of it. Be grateful that you can't make sense of it and you don't understand because you obviously were not built that way. So you will not understand what's going on there. So these are two things that have stuck with me. And I've just got to, going through life, they're really important things to think about because, okay, when you don't understand something, right, no matter how hard you try, maybe that thing is not for you. Or maybe you don't understand because you are not that way and that's not aligned with you. Or that's something that it doesn't agree with you in some way, right? That might be why you don't understand it. And yeah, the train thing really hit me because it's like, fuck, you get on the train because you want to go anywhere, right? You're just, I need to get somewhere. I need to go somewhere.
Mm,
And a lot of times when you make a rush decision, you'll stick in it because you're like, well, I've got to give it a fair go. I really got to try. I'm going to be a failure again if I don't succeed in this thing. Relationships, jobs, friendships, whatever, you name it.
mm,
You end up stuck.
yeah.
You end up stuck, and the longer you're on that train, the more expensive it is to get home. Because getting yourself back to, you know, a good place or, you know, a good mental state, a good job state, just a comfortable place or one where you're actually doing well, being in the wrong environment or the wrong thing will take away from that. It'll dull your sparkle. It'll make you miserable. It'll ruin you. Things like this, like making a decision and sticking to it and being on that wrong train could ruin you. So it's better, you're better off taking your time and thinking about it and being on the right track and getting yourself on the right track than making a decision because you feel like you have to, because you're reaching a certain age or you have to hit a timeline,
Yeah, I love it, man. I love
you
it.
know?
That is such a really, really good thing to bring into the consciousness of a lot of people that are going to have a listen to this because, I've got the t-shirt on that one. You know, like I really, really do like that golden handcuffs when you're in a certain role, for example, that you don't feel you're quite aligned with, but you've become
Hmm.
reliant on the money. And then you feel that you can't get out of there, and the cost of getting out of there is like more because you've got other liabilities and all that sort of stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I can feel that one. That one's really, really, that's really resonated with me in a big, big way. So, I really, really appreciate it. Now, before I let you go, there is one thing that I ask all of our guests, and you've been
Okay.
fabulous, right? And I love the fact that you've clearly you've clearly spoken from a place that is true, that is clearly you.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have these sorts of conversations. I've been very lucky that the guests that I've had on have been, they've been very real to themselves, which has been fabulous. But then it's really obvious again when someone is just speaking from the core of who they are. So I really appreciate you being on it. And now
Thank
that's
you.
the last question we ask is, as they are heading towards whatever success looks like for them, all right?
Hmm.
We're all there's always going to be stuff that we can work on, right? We are perfectly imperfect, right? And so, um, Ariana, the final question I want to ask you is: you head towards the next version of success, whatever that looks like. What is the one thing that you feel, that is either missing, or that you feel you either don't quite get, or you're not connected with at the minute?
Probably like a stable job. People won't
There's,
get that, but like
as you said, there's only so much that you, as you've just said, that you can only be pretty for so long, right? Only take you so far.
exactly. No, people won't get that, because, yeah, just career-wise, um, it's kinda gone to shit, right? But I think, if I'm being honest, yeah, a stable job would be fucking great. But I think for me, for success, the one thing, and you'll get this like, coming from the cultural background that I do, for me, I want a family. That's for me, that I feel like, I could be wrong, but again, my gut always tells me that. Like, I think for me, and not that I put too much pressure on it, but having a family is, I think, the one kind of thing that I would more than anything love to have. The husband, the children, and whatnot. Um, but of course, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So that's one thing. But just, I think, just happiness. Happiness is like the one thing that I'll always kind of strive for, you know.
Are you
Mm.
happy?
In some aspects, yeah, yeah. But I think you'll find that it will be very, very, very rare for you to meet someone who's completely happy in all aspects of life.
True.
We're always missing something. Everyone's missing something.
Very, very true. And team, in amongst all of the glamour and the pictures of cocktails and hair extensions and all the rest of it, um, we have just found someone who has got a depth of character that I don't think, well, I don't say I don't think, I don't know if she gives herself, I know that she doesn't give herself enough credit for, just laughs it off.
You're gonna make
Um,
me cry. Stop it.
so Ariana Djoric, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate your candor. I really appreciate you being as open as you are, because that's not easy, and that's what a lot of people don't get. And that's why I do firmly believe that you are potentially a genuine influencer in this game of life, not one that just pretends to be. So
Thank you.
so I really, really appreciate you. Team, this has been a different kind of episode, right? And it's been a different episode that I'm really, really glad, and I feel really fortunate to have been a part of. I'll make sure that you can reach out to Ariana on various handles and whatnot. Um, and I would really, really recommend that you follow her on Instagram and just pay attention to her stories, because the reality that she brings to this whole perception of how life should be is tremendously refreshing, and it's the reason why people stop her in restaurants to say hello. So, team, on behalf of Ariana and myself, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe, healthy, happy. Enjoy the rest of whatever it is you're about to go do, and we'll speak to you on the next episode. Take care.